All right, welcome back everyone. This is Australian Culture and Society, and we're talking all things assignment 2, your reflective practice and how to engage with your reflective journals. So if you haven't had a chance, please have a look at the other clip that I have posted with regards to the instructions that are provided on the course outline. To this particular session, I want to talk about the art of reflective practice. Now, on the Learn Online site, you will find some slides. These are the reflective practice slides that have been provided by the Student Engagement Unit and one of the learning advisors who kindly put these slides together for us. You will find that this particular assignment is not unique to the college. This is very much included as an undergraduate form of assessment, both in first and second year, particularly with my business students I'm aware of. Excuse me, I have an itchy nose. And it is quite a common form of assessment throughout your undergraduate studies. So I want you to be able to learn how to do this now at college so that you can secure your skills and abilities, your technique, and then go on to be successful and hopefully do really well in your undergraduate studies. So this is very much consistent with your undergraduate programs that you'll come across and other forms of assessment that are around. So what is it to reflect? Well, they say that to reflect is to learn. So when we're thinking about reflective thinking, it's inherent to our human condition. It's what we've done throughout the ages. It's what the Greek and Roman philosophers did, is to think about how we spend our time. What is the meaning of life? What is our purpose? Why do we do things the way that we do them? And we use reflection throughout our lives, from our social lives to our professional lives to our personal lives. Predominantly, all professionals will use reflection in one way or another to help them learn, to think about what they did, how they did it, and how they could improve. It's essentially an evaluation process that we can use to identify our strengths and our weaknesses, our opportunities, and our potential for growth. So what is reflection? It's something that you naturally do, and you would do it pretty much every day. But it's more than just a simple description. So watch out for descriptive journals, because this isn't about just describing things. We need you to think critically about this material. And you need to think about what's prompted you to reflect on this, when and how do you do it, and then how would you call it something different. So you need to think about, what were the preconceived ideas you had about gender roles? What have you learnt about gender roles that might have changed your opinion or influenced your perceptions or really made you see things through a different lens? And then, as a result of that learning, how do you see it now? Because the two would be very different. It's up to you on how you want to explain that particular process. So I'd encourage you to think of an experience where you didn't possibly achieve the grade that you thought you would for an assignment. Consider assignment 1. Did you think that you would just get an HD and that would be it? And that you could write it the night before with no reading, with no preparation? Maybe not. Did you have realistic expectations? What was your assumption and why did you feel that you were going to get an HD? What specifically can you ground that in? And then ultimately, what did you get? Was that a shock? Was that a surprise? Was it pleasantly expected? Depending on your results, I want you to think about what happened. So what did you expect your grade to be? What informed that expectation? Was it that you worked tirelessly for 50 hours on this particular assignment? You had it drafted and edited and checked by a number of different professionals in that area. If so, and you've still failed, then there's a disconnect. Something's happened. But what the process of reflection requires is you to think about, okay, what did I expect to get? What did I actually get? And what happened in the middle there? I need you to think critically, because then you can go through this process of reflective practice. So describe the situation in your own head. What happened? What were you thinking? What were you feeling? This is all your descriptive stuff. This is kind of light and fluffy. It doesn't really get into the meat and nitty-gritty of reflection. But you need the description there so that then you can analyze. And your analysis will require you to think about, what were your assumptions of the situation? And How might they have informed your thinking? What personal knowledge helped you make sense of the experience? And then what other sources of knowledge were important in understanding the experience? Finally, if you've done your analysis effectively, you can move on to your conclusion. And your conclusion is in terms of what else could have been done or what could you have done differently as a result of this experience. What other knowledge might be needed to make those informed assessments or informed judgments? And then finally, can you identify any factors that might have impeded your learning? So that if you're going through an effective description, you've done your analysis, and then you've done your conclusion, this is where you engage an action plan. And your action plan is really, what would you do differently next time? As a result of everything that you've learned, the preconceived ideas that you have, the actual experiences you have, and then the knowledge you've accumulated, what would you do differently? This is your action plan. What steps are you going to take to make sure that you don't make the same mistakes twice, that you don't necessarily just run with, assumptions and opinions, that you can make informed assessments through analysis, through the art of reflection, and engage with the learning. This is really the process of trying to use a reflective practice model, and you're really striving towards critical depth. There will be parts of your reflective journal that are descriptive. So this is where it's not really discussing beyond the point of description. It's really just a means of showing a solid foundation and a basis to work from. What you're aiming towards is this idea of critical reflection that shows evidence that you are aware that the actions and events may be located within multiple perspectives. Remember to look at it through multiple lenses. Try and look at it through other people's shoes. Consider other alternatives. And then you can also recognize that they are influenced by multiple socio-political contexts, that the changing nature of gender roles means that we're in this really grey area and we can't necessarily just presume or make assumptions about people's sexuality being linked to gender. These two constructs are expressed very differently. Likewise, through your socialization, what may have affected me significantly as a child or in my early teens would be vastly different to what you have experienced in your formative years, whether it was with your family, your peers, your neighborhood, or perhaps your school. This is where it's up to you. You've got a little bit of freedom for creativity, so you can pick and choose which topics you want to write on, but the idea is that you can demonstrate, the theory. You've got evidence, you've got research, you've got the content to basically form a foundation for your reflections to then follow. And those reflections should be real life examples or real case scenarios from your own experiences that relate directly to that content and theory you've discussed previously. Then, in the final stages, you can talk about your action plan. What would you do differently? How do you think about this material differently? And what is that leading to? That you see the world through a different lens as a result of doing the lectures, doing the readings, going to the tutorials, engaging in the activities, discussing this material with your colleagues and your friends and your family. All of that stuff helps build reflective practice. This is how we learn. So then the challenge for you is to put pen to paper. 750 words per journal with your 3 to 5 references throughout. You don't need to reference yourself because it is first person, but I would encourage you to engage with the material, with the literature. I provided you a lot of resources, from the textbook to the readings, to the articles, to the resources available under the e-reader on the Learn Online site. So please use that material, but I also encourage you, for those that are striving towards the HDs, to actually engage with your own research as well. So the library database is always a good place to start with that. Have a look at the examples online. Make sure you go over the criteria sheet and try and get a start on this over the break, because we've only got a couple of weeks when you get back. So the pressure is going to be on, and it is 1,500 words. So it's not a small one, but it is worth 35% of your marks. So it matters. I will be available on email as always, so if you have any questions, please email me. Otherwise, hopefully this helps you understand what reflective practice is about, and I certainly look forward to reading your assignments when the due date comes around. So I'll leave it there, but good luck with it, and I'll talk to you soon. Okay, thanks.